Stoicism, an ancient philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium and popularized by Epictetus, teaches us that the key to peace lies in controlling our reactions, not the world around us. Act as if nothing bothers you is a powerful Stoic practice that helps you transcend external chaos and find true inner strength. This mindset allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace, resilience, and calm. In this article, we'll dive into Epictetus' teachings, explore their psychological impact, and give you practical ways to apply them in your daily life. Let's unlock the power of Stoicism together. Understanding Epictetus' teachings on control building on the idea of finding peace through our reactions. Epictetus, a central figure in Stoic philosophy, emphasized the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what isn't. This simple yet profound concept forms the backbone of his teachings and guides us toward greater emotional freedom. According to Epictetus, we can only control our thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything else, from external events to other people's opinions, lies beyond our influence. Imagine being caught in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You can feel your stress building, your blood pressure rising, as you rage against the other drivers and the seemingly unfair situation. But what if you could pause, take a deep breath, and shift your focus? Instead of wasting energy on things you cannot control, the traffic, the behavior of others, you could focus on your internal state, your attitude, your choices, and your reactions. By doing so, you reclaim control over the only thing that truly matters in that moment: yourself. Epictetus taught that our emotional turmoil often arises from misjudging what is within our control. We become frustrated, angry, or anxious when we attempt to control things that are inherently uncontrollable. This is where Stoicism offers its powerful remedy: the recognition that peace comes from focusing on our own reactions and attitudes, not external circumstances. When you stop trying to control everything around you, you start realizing that your internal peace is your own responsibility. Take the story of Marcus, a man who had lived his life at the mercy of others' expectations. He would bend over backward to meet the needs of everyone around him, constantly sacrificing his well-being for the sake of avoiding conflict. Over time, the emotional toll became unbearable, and he found himself overwhelmed, disconnected from his own desires and values. One day, he stumbled upon Epictetus' teachings and realized that he had been trying to control others' perceptions of him. With this new understanding, he began practicing the Stoic art of focusing on what he could control: his thoughts, his boundaries, and his response to life's challenges. Slowly, he regained control of his life and found peace by letting go of external pressures. By recognizing that our reactions are within our control, we can start to change the way we respond to the world. Instead of being reactive to external events, we can practice proactive thinking, taking responsibility for how we choose to view and handle situations. This shift doesn't mean we ignore challenges or emotions, but we learn to engage with them from a place of inner strength and acceptance. Epictetus' teachings on control invite us to free ourselves from the tyranny of external circumstances. When we stop fighting against what we cannot change, we open up space for personal growth, emotional clarity, and lasting peace. In embracing this wisdom, we can learn to truly act as if nothing bothers us, because we understand that it's not the world that causes us distress, it's our interpretation and reaction to it. The psychological impact of letting things bother you. Building on the Stoic idea of focusing on what is within our control, we now turn to the psychological impact of allowing external circumstances to disturb our peace. When we let things bother us, whether it's an upsetting comment from someone, a challenging situation, or an unexpected event, we essentially give away our inner peace and emotional stability. Over time, this constant emotional reactivity can take a significant toll on our mental health and overall well-being. Imagine a woman named Sarah, a talented and compassionate professional who constantly strives to make everyone happy. She would often find herself overwhelmed by small things, like a critical remark from a coworker or an unexpected delay in a project. These moments, while seemingly trivial, would send her into a spiral of stress, self-doubt, and frustration. The more she allowed these external situations to affect her, the more disconnected she felt from her true self. It was only when she began to apply the teachings of Epictetus, focusing on her reactions rather than the events, that she started to notice a shift. By internalizing the idea that we cannot control what others say or do, Sarah began to see her emotions in a new light. She realized that her constant emotional response to external triggers was not a reflection of her character, but rather her failure to control her own mind. Each time she allowed herself to be disturbed, She was giving away her personal power to something beyond her control. This realization was both humbling and empowering. It was the first step toward emotional freedom. When we allow things to bother us, our mind becomes cluttered with unnecessary emotions like anger, resentment, and worry. These emotions drain our energy, cloud our judgment, and prevent us from thinking clearly. Instead of responding thoughtfully to challenges, we react impulsively, often making situations worse. The constant weight of negative emotions creates stress, which can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Epictetus understood the destructive power of letting things bother us. His philosophy teaches us that emotions such as anger or frustration often arise when we try to control things outside of our power. Rather than becoming entangled in negative emotions, we should learn to let them pass by without giving them power over our actions. The key is not to suppress our feelings, but to acknowledge them and choose not to be ruled by them. When we take back control of our emotions, we start to experience life in a more balanced, grounded way. We stop letting every little thing throw us off course and begin to respond with calm and clarity. Sarah's journey wasn't about ignoring her emotions, but rather about choosing not to let them define her or dictate her actions. By practicing the Stoic art of focusing only on what is in her control, she regained her inner peace and found herself more resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges. In embracing Epictetus' teachings, we learn that emotional freedom is not about avoiding discomfort, but about taking control of how we react. When we stop letting things bother us, we open ourselves up to a life of greater joy, fulfillment, and emotional strength. Breaking free from the need for approval, continuing from the last point, where we discussed how letting external factors affect us undermines our emotional strength, we now turn to the deep need for validation from others. Many of us spend a large portion of our lives seeking approval, whether it's from our friends, family, or co-workers. We become so preoccupied with how others perceive us that we begin to shape our actions and decisions around what we believe will gain their approval. This constant desire for validation can create emotional turmoil and prevent us from living authentically. Consider the story of John, a man who had always been highly concerned with how others saw him. From the clothes he wore to the opinions he expressed, everything was carefully curated to ensure he fit in. He believed that if he could just gain the approval of those around him, his life would be peaceful and fulfilled. But over time, John realized that the more he sought others' approval, the less at peace he felt with himself. He found himself constantly anxious, second-guessing his choices, and losing touch with his true desires. This constant cycle of trying to live up to others' expectations was draining him emotionally. It wasn't until John encountered the teachings of Stoicism, particularly the wisdom of Epictetus, that he began to understand the harm in seeking validation. Epictetus taught that our happiness should never depend on external factors or other people's opinions. This was a difficult pill to swallow, as John had always thought that being liked and accepted by others was key to his happiness. But as he started practicing the Stoic philosophy, he realized that seeking validation is a never-ending pursuit, one that constantly shifts depending on external circumstances. No matter how much we try to please others, we will always face criticism, differing opinions, and rejection at some point. John began to internalize Epictetus' advice: act as if nothing bothers you. He learned that his worth and peace should come from within, not from others' perceptions. Slowly, he stopped shaping his life to please others and started embracing his own values, choices, and opinions. He understood that the pursuit of approval from others could never bring him true contentment because it was a fleeting and uncertain source of happiness. What truly mattered was his internal sense of worth, grounded in his own principles. As John began letting go of the need for approval, he discovered a newfound sense of freedom. He no longer feared judgment or rejection. Instead of living in constant anxiety about how others saw him, he embraced who he truly was, regardless of external feedback. This shift in mindset allowed him to live authentically and confidently, embracing challenges and opportunities with a clear sense of purpose. In our own lives, we can find similar liberation by choosing to break free from the need for approval. Instead of constantly seeking validation from others, we can focus on aligning our actions with our own values and beliefs. By doing so, we free ourselves from the emotional burden of seeking external validation, allowing us to live with more confidence, authenticity, and inner peace. In embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, we realize that approval from others is not what will bring us lasting happiness. True contentment comes from living in alignment with our own values and principles, regardless of what others may think. By letting go of the need for external validation, we regain control over our lives and create a more peaceful, empowered existence. The freedom of accepting what you cannot change. Building on the previous point where we discussed breaking free from the need for approval, we now dive into the powerful Stoic principle of accepting what is beyond our control. Life is full of circumstances that we cannot change, no matter how hard we try. Whether it's a job loss, a personal setback, or an unexpected crisis, these events are often outside our influence. While it's easy to resist or become frustrated with things we can't control, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that true peace comes from accepting life as it is, rather than struggling against it. Take the example of Emily, a woman in her late 30s who was working tirelessly to grow her own business. She was passionate about her work and invested every ounce of energy into it. But despite her best efforts, she encountered several setbacks: economic downturns, sudden changes in market demand, and even personal health issues that left her exhausted. The harder she tried to change things she couldn't control, the more overwhelmed she became. She felt trapped by circumstances that were outside of her control, and the constant fight to change them only led to burnout and frustration. Emily's breakthrough came when she came across a simple Stoic idea: focus on what you can control and accept what you cannot. Initially, this idea seemed counterintuitive. How could accepting defeat and failure lead to success or peace? But as she reflected on the idea, she realized that the constant resistance to circumstances outside of her control had been the root cause of her stress. She was investing so much energy in worrying about things she couldn't change that she was losing sight of what really mattered: her own growth, her response to challenges, and her ability to move forward regardless of external circumstances. By applying this Stoic principle, Emily began to shift her mindset. Instead of focusing on the things she couldn't control, like the economy or the actions of others, she focused on how she responded to those things. She took action on the aspects of her business that were within her reach, such as improving her skills, connecting with new clients, and optimizing her processes. She accepted the realities she couldn't change, like the unpredictability of the market, and chose to focus on what she could do to adapt to it. Over time, Emily noticed a profound shift in her emotional state. She felt lighter, less anxious, and more focused on the present moment. The tension that had once consumed her when things went wrong began to dissipate. She understood that some things were simply beyond her control, and that her energy was better spent on how she chose to react. This acceptance didn't mean giving up or resigning herself to failure. It meant freeing herself from the emotional drain of fighting against reality. In our own lives, we all face situations that we cannot change. It could be a personal struggle, a global event, or simply the passage of time. The Stoic lesson is clear: when we stop fighting what cannot be changed, we gain the freedom to direct our energy toward what is within our control. Accepting the things we cannot change doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over resistance, calm over chaos, and strength over frustration. By embracing the Stoic idea of accepting what is beyond our control, we can stop wasting emotional energy on things that will never change. This acceptance allows us to focus on what truly matters: our own actions, our personal growth, and our ability to move forward with clarity and peace. In doing so, we unlock a freedom that leads to a more empowered, peaceful life. The power of self-discipline over immediate gratification. Building upon the last point about accepting things outside our control, we now turn to the crucial role of self-discipline in cultivating a life of peace and fulfillment. Stoicism teaches us that while the world may throw unexpected challenges our way, the one thing we can always control is our response, and a large part of that response lies in our ability to resist the allure of immediate gratification. In a world where convenience and pleasure often take precedence, practicing self-discipline is a powerful tool to help us stay true to our long-term goals and values. Consider the story of Tom, a young man with big dreams. He was passionate about becoming a successful writer and had already written several chapters of a book he believed could change the world. However, Tom found himself consistently distracted by short-term pleasures. He would spend hours scrolling through social media, binge-watching TV shows, or indulging in unhealthy foods. Every time he set out to work on his book, he would quickly give in to the temptations of immediate gratification, convincing himself that he'd get to it tomorrow. Days turned into weeks, and Tom's book remained unfinished. One evening, after yet another evening wasted in front of the TV, Tom found himself feeling frustrated and disappointed. He realized that his constant pursuit of immediate rewards was standing in the way of his deeper aspirations. His desire for instant pleasure was eroding his ability to achieve something greater in the future. This realization hit him hard, and he remembered a quote by Epictetus: "No man is free who is not master of himself." It was a wake-up call that inspired him to take control of his impulses. Tom began practicing self-discipline by setting clear boundaries for himself. He stopped allowing himself to indulge in distractions during the hours he had set aside for writing. He realized that self-discipline wasn't about suppressing pleasure altogether. It was about prioritizing long-term satisfaction over short-term indulgence. By refraining from instant gratification, he freed up mental and emotional energy to focus on what truly mattered to him: his writing and his personal growth. Slowly, but surely, Tom began to make consistent progress. He found that as he resisted distractions, his focus and clarity grew stronger. The more disciplined he became, the more fulfilling his work felt. He didn't miss the fleeting pleasures of watching another TV show or scrolling through his phone. What replaced it was a deeper sense of accomplishment, purpose, and inner peace. In our own lives, we face constant temptation to seek immediate gratification, whether it's through entertainment, food, or other distractions. However, Stoicism reminds us that true freedom and fulfillment come from our ability to delay short-term pleasures for the sake of long-term goals. Self-discipline doesn't mean depriving ourselves of joy. It means learning to make choices that align with our deeper values and aspirations. By embracing this power of self-discipline, we can cultivate a life of true fulfillment and peace, grounded in the pursuit of what truly matters. The strength found in practicing gratitude, building on the importance of self-discipline and resisting the pull of immediate gratification, we now turn to the transformative power of gratitude. It may seem simple, but when practiced daily, gratitude can profoundly shift our mindset, helping us maintain peace and find joy even amidst life's challenges. In Stoicism, gratitude is not merely a fleeting feeling, but a powerful tool for grounding ourselves in the present moment, recognizing the good in our lives, and strengthening our emotional resilience. Meet Sarah, a woman who, like many of us, was constantly running the race for more. She was always striving for the next promotion, bigger house, or latest gadget, thinking that these external markers of success would bring her happiness. However, no matter how much she achieved, there was always a sense of emptiness that lingered. She found herself constantly looking for what was next, believing that happiness was always just out of reach. One particularly stressful day at work, Sarah felt a growing sense of dissatisfaction. She was juggling multiple projects, and despite her hard work, it seemed like nothing was ever enough. The pressure was starting to affect her health, her relationships, and her overall outlook on life. That evening, she came across a passage by Epictetus that struck her deeply. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This idea led Sarah to question her constant pursuit of more recognition, more stuff, more achievements, and whether it was truly fulfilling her. In the days that followed, Sarah made a deliberate choice to practice gratitude. She started by writing down 3 things she was grateful for every morning. At first, it felt like a chore, a small and insignificant task. However, as time went on, Sarah began to notice subtle changes. Her list began to grow beyond the obvious things: her job, her health, her family, and expanded into deeper reflections on life's blessings: the kindness of a stranger, the beauty of nature, the sound of laughter shared with friends. With each passing day, Sarah's heart felt lighter, and she began to appreciate the simple pleasures she had once taken for granted. What Sarah discovered was that gratitude had the power to shift her focus from what was lacking in her life to what was abundant. She started feeling more connected to the world around her, less consumed by the need for more, and more at peace with where she was in the moment. Gratitude didn't just shift her mood, it changed her entire perspective on life. It gave her the strength to face challenges with a calm mind, knowing that no matter the difficulty, there was always something to be thankful for. For all of us, gratitude is a practice that can shift us away from constant dissatisfaction and toward peace. When we make the conscious decision to focus on the positives, we reclaim our power to create a sense of fulfillment regardless of external circumstances. By being thankful for what we have, we stop chasing empty desires and start living with intention, presence, and joy. Gratitude, like any Stoic practice, is a choice to find strength in every moment and to recognize the abundance in our lives, no matter what challenges we may face. It is truly one of the most powerful tools we can cultivate to enrich our lives and strengthen our emotional resilience. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button. Sparkling Heart, your support means the world to us and helps us create more amazing content just for you. 100 points, what are your thoughts? Comment below and share your experiences or opinions. We love hearing from you. Glowing Star, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on more life-changing wisdom. Dive deeper with us. Watch our other videos for more inspiring content to enrich your life. Seedling, thank you for being a part of our community. Raising hands.